Hi, everyone. Thank you for joining me again for the recording of this week's blog. I am feeling really extra specially great today because I had a sensational massage this morning. As most of you know, I am a massage therapist, so I do appreciate them a lot. So if you haven't gotten one in a while, maybe you should just treat yourself. A little self-care is always good for the soul. So, okay, the name of the blog this week is called Polarity. So during a recent guided meditation, the teacher was talking about the symbol of the Buddhist wheel and the 8 winds of life. I had never heard of it before, but it was for me a fascinating explanation of the polarity that we all experience all the time while here on the earth plane. The symbol is an 8-spoked wheel, and each spoke represents one of the winds that come and go or roll into our lives all the time. These winds are as follows, as polarity: pain and pleasure, gain and loss, praise and blame, fame and infamy. Well, so we all experience these opposite states of being at one time or another. Life in the physical world is a school, and often we learn best through contrast. For example, if we want to learn self-love, we may experience several failed relationships. Once we realize that in order to attract someone into our lives who will love us, though unconditionally, we must first learn to love ourselves unconditionally. Why? Well, it's simply because like attracts like. Once we begin to authentically love and care for ourselves, our vibration shifts. Our energy attracts the energy of a person who can love us in a way we wish to be loved, simply because we are already doing it for ourselves. I think my glasses are dirty. Hang on one second. Gotta clean them. Okay. Oh, that's much better. Okay. So perhaps the power of learning through contrast is why we tend to find ourselves always being kind of like blown about by those 8 winds. Is there any way to escape the storms that come and go as we navigate our way through this hectic and sometimes scary world? Possibly there is. However, so far I haven't met anyone who has been able to do so. Yet some people seem to be able to weather the storms of life better than others. And we often wonder, what is their secret? Well, let's try to explain that by describing a scene from an actual weather event, rather than the emotional ups and downs and the polarities of life. For days on end, imagine this, for days on end, the weather forecasters have been predicting a devastating hurricane that is heading straight for our area. We begin preparing for the storm by boarding up windows, putting away on outdoor umbrellas or any other potential projectiles. We shop for needed essentials like food, water, candles, and batteries for our flashlights, just in case we lose power. We cancel any unnecessary appointments and we hunker down waiting for it to hit. Most of us are a bit enamored, I know I am, and so is my husband, by wild weather, as long as we can watch it from the security of our warm, cozy, and dry home. So that's what we do. And the skies begin to darken, and the thick clouds block the sun. The wind starts howling, and we can hear snapping of tree branches and maybe even see some flickering of lights in the house. The rain is splashing against our windows that are now closed tight to prevent water from getting in. We gaze out from the soaked glass and watch as the storm blusters and tosses our outside world about. Grateful that we are safe in our protective eye of the storm, or in other words, our humble abode. We may watch the reporters on our local news station as they move around from place to place, measuring the depth of the flooding and the devastation happening from the turbulent winds. Again, we are so grateful that we're not them being tossed about from those strong gusts as they kind of fight to keep from being blown over or even blown into the nearby ocean or river as they're broadcasting. Okay, so once the storm passes, we open our doors and windows and we go outside to find a world that looks nothing like it did just hours ago. The sky is once again blue, the sun is shining, and the branches of the trees are still and silent. Life turns to normal, and we go about our usual routines of our lives, no worse for wear. Of course, there's probably some cleaning up to do, but anyway. So now let's go back to the Buddhist wheel. When we envision the wheel, we know that the spokes of the wheel represents the times in our represent the times of stormy adversities in our lives and the times of sunshine and blue skies. So sometimes we may, for example, even experience rain and blue skies simultaneously, just as we might experience great loss and then receive a wondrous gift in the midst of that loss. So they can coexist. So where is our calm, safe, quiet place where we can observe the storms so they don't harm us? It's in the center of the wheel, right in the center. When we realize we are not the storms and we're not the blue skies, but we're the observer of the ever-changing emotional weather of our lives. We can become aware and observant rather than trying to cling to the good times or push away the bad ones, quote unquote, because there's good times in quote, bad in quote, because that's our perception of things. There is no good and bad. There's only lessons, but that's for another time. We find that we can sit by the window within our soul's sacred temple and we can watch as the storms come and go. This is not to say that we will be free from the intense emotions that come with our adversities, or even the heady, joyful ones we feel when life is nothing but smooth sailing. The human experience is filled with polarity. The soul can find opportunities for growth in all of it, all of life. Despite our soul's wisdom and the comfort and guidance from our spiritual team of light, we may still fall victim to the shifting tides. One minute we feel great joy from the birth of a child, and the next, a parent or friend may pass from this world, and the intense loss overwhelms us. The next moment we are praised by the good work we are doing and for the noble person that we are. And then, without warning, we make a mistake, and that praise turns to blame or censure. As long as we remain in the center of the wheel, the eye of our storm, and simply observe and be aware, even in the midst of our tumultuous tears, we can weather the storms of our lives safely. We know that the sun will always shine again, lessons will be learned, and smiles will return to our faces. We will embrace the polarity that is bound to surround us and toss our vessel to and fro as we navigate our way through the stormy seas. I have found that those among us who seem to weather the storms within sort of an otherworldly calm are men and women who spend time daily in our home within, or in other words, what I always call the temple of our soul's light. Spending time in meditation and prayer is usually the best and most certain way to learn how to find our peaceful center and remain calm even in the midst of the 8 worldly winds that we just talked about. It is there that we can also learn to embrace our personal polarity as a human soul by acknowledging and embracing both the infinite divine light of our eternal identity as well as our dark side, or our human imperfection that we all have. We find peace. We don't have to meditate for hours, though some of us do. We simply need to spend a few moments in stillness and silence. Quieting the mind is the greatest challenge in meditation, but with practice, we get better and better. Some days are always better than others. It doesn't always go smoothly, but we commit to it anyway. And even if it feels like it wasn't that great a meditation, there's still a benefit that we'll see later in our lives. When we do this, we find there is an awe and wonder found there in that sacred space that we find in no other place in this world. We discover a celestial light that illumines our true identity and strengthens our infinite soulful power. We then emerge steady of hand, peaceful in our minds, and able and willing to live our lives fully rather than simply existing. We learn to conquer debilitating fear and embrace eternal love because we know that love is the answer to all there is and all that will ever be. We are safe. We are immortal. We are protected. All is well and always will be. So I just wanted to add to all of that. It's all very positive, which is what we're trying to do here, is to learn how to live a positive, joy-filled life. But we are human souls, and that is the most important thing we need to remember, that while living here, though our goal is to live a noble and spiritually directed life, we're imperfect. We make mistakes. We fall apart in the middle of our struggles. It's just part of this whole human experience. It's going to happen. And we need to embrace that part of us. In a time when we should stay calm and happy, we get angry and may say things or do things that, we're not proud of afterwards. The important thing to do is to forgive ourselves, to forgive others, and to honor the divinity in us and all people, and just begin anew. And all will be well, because love really is the strongest power that we have. And as long as we remember that during all of the adversities and the joys in our lives, that we still focus on the love and do our very best to stay there. And when we don't, again, just tell ourselves it's okay. It's okay. We're still here. There's more chances. And we'll do better. So, there you have it. I hope you enjoyed it. Welcome November. And maybe everybody can now go get a massage. You'll just love the feeling afterwards. So, anyway, namaste, everybody.